Do 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 do. I hate Docker and dependency hell. Da 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 da. I hate Docker. I hate the Docker and the dependency hell. It is literally the worst. I had to rebuild my media stack like twice because of some permission shit. And I wanted to fight the containers themselves. Don't worry, I'm coming. Chat. What's going on, brother? We're going to be reading how Graphene OS works. How the Android sandboxing works. We're going to look into gvisor too and why it's cool and based. And maybe I can build, if I can figure it out, maybe how to build it from source. I've never used it. I know it's usable. Or someone told me they built it before from source. It's very cool, very based. Maybe in the future it would be was it Invisible, the app you were talking about the other day? That was the one I use. Because it allows me I2P access much easier, and it's a little less clunky than the I2P one console. But no, it was actually the Tor project itself has their own Orbot, their own VPN. I don't want to call it a VPN, but it's called Tor VPN. It was in beta, and you had to get in early. But that's no longer the case. They now have their own VPN. I don't know if it's... I don't know if they're advertising it. Yeah, I looked into on the stem but couldn't see it. I don't think they're advertising it because it's still in beta, but you got to go on the Play Store, I think. They might. How did Torque have an Onion site before the Onion site? Maybe it's in their blog. I only came across it because of a video that did a review on it. Update your tails, everyone. If you use Tails. Not alpha, State of the Onion. They might, maybe maybe down in the small text. Yeah. It's somewhere. VPN, maybe? Nope, not found. It's, damn it. Oh, there we go. Oh, here it is, yeah. You have to, it's in beta software. So just to let you know. Maybe don't use it for anything. You might be able to get it not just a Play Store. That's where I just found it. They probably have a pure APK. They're probably worried that they could put it, I don't know if they have it on F-Droid. They're probably worried to make a pure APK, or maybe they're telling people hey, go get it from the Play Store, due to security risk because there's a lot of fake APKs out there, and people could blame the user all they want, but people make mistakes. They're not. Okay, so the Play Store has Orbot from the Play Store. You have to click on you have to go to the Play Store for The Guardian. I think they're called The Guardian Group, and you have to download it. I don't use it too often because it's very janky. It's no offense. I mean, it's beta, so you gotta look up the Tor browser. Yeah, it's from the Tor project though, but you have to remember that people get typo squatted all the time. So you got to go to the Tor project. Oh wait, you got to go to the Play Store. Click on the Tor project's like profile, and it'll say Tor VPN beta. It's like a little onion. Looks like fucking Jupiter. It's pretty cool. It is. It's just, I think people can join now. Yeah, it was like super beta access and you couldn't join, but now you can. It's kind of janky though. You just got to keep that in mind. It's cool though. I like Invisib though, for Tor VPN. Yeah, nice. Yeah, check it out. It's cool. Don't do anything illegal. Only model citizens, right? I just think it's kind of based. But you know how it be. Ooh. Oh, where is it? Dun, 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 dun. My wrist is cooked. Oh wait, I need to edit that.
Daughter said this, Dad. How much would college cost?
Alright. The fuck? Oh man. I did rage bait a bunch of people. I told everyone I'm dropping Graphene OS and I'm going to use E on it. Yeah, be careful rage baiting, man. People be on the internet. Way too. Invisib, yo, why you need $8, bro? Invisible seems pretty good. Stable. Yeah, it's pretty stable. It's good. It's awesome. I like it. Mainly for I2P stuff. When I didn't have Graphene OS, I used to use that or DNS, Rethink DNS to block ads. And when Vandadium did not block fucking ads, by the way, and it was a nightmare, move to Calyx, no. I wouldn't move to Calyx if you paid. I used Calyx. That was my first one. I wouldn't go back to Calyx if you paid me. Even if you paid me $8. Calyx is not good. I think what they're trying to do is good, but they ignore a lot of they ignore a lot of stuff. And I mean, at the end of the day, it's user freedom. I think if you can choose whatever you want. You know, if you think it's a better option. Ooh, dice. We're gonna learn about dice today. But we're going to first start with the application sandbox, security overview, secure Android devices, kernel security, app security, and then definitely gvisor. Micro G and why it's a shit show. What operating system you should pick? Gvisor. It's pretty cool. It's going to be the learning channel. Gvisor is just pretty sick. Hopefully I can, I mean, if I can get it to work, that'd be kind of cool. Okay. Container security is pretty sick. I deal with containers all the time in my infrastructure because I am I need to save for precious RAM. RAM's expensive now. Now I need to utilize RAM to the highest level. Many tabs open. My real crime that I commit is what am I using right now? I use BTOP. No, BTOP. Damn. Yes, I'm using 17 gigs of RAM. You peasants. Based. All the people crying. I'm rich now. Okay. I'm gonna get some water real quick, and then we're gonna get to reading. We're gonna read over some frequent asked questions. My eyes. I'm gonna break the security model by doing dark mode. If GrapheneOS could not be a bitch. Their website. Oh, please make it stop. Please force dark mode. I can't handle it. Oh, God. Make it stop. Why can't they have a dark mode on their site? It hurts. I'm gonna just do this. Oh, man, it hurts. Frequent asked questions. FAQ. Oh man, that burns. The dark mode burns. Less. Shit. So if you're here to learn and get huge brain, a lot of people have misconceptions. About how Graphene OS works. They question why they picked the federal backdoored Google Pixel device. It's kind of interesting too. I've read a lot of things about stuff about Graphene OS. I read through their entire FAQ and usage and install and features and stuff like that a few times. But it's always good to refresh and relearn. Mobile operating systems are relatively much more secure than desktops. The privacy part, maybe not as true. So I cannot be a developer. I type too slow. Not private. I can't spell either. Now this is outdated, kind of, but this is also a good place to start. Linux is not a secure place to be. We'll go over this first. And the Flatpak part's kind of outdated. FireJail is still kind of true. But this is from 2022. This is 3 years ago. Just to let you know. So the Linux being secure is a common misconception in the security and privacy realm. Linux is thought to be secure primarily because of its source model, popular usage in service, small user base, and confusion about security features. This article is intended to debunk these misunderstandings by demonstrating the lack of variations in important security mechanisms found in the desktop operating system. Just to let you know who this person is, they work on, I believe, Unix, if I'm not mistaken. So that's kind of important. And a bunch of jargon. Section 1 explains the lack of proper application security model and demonstration why software that is commonly touted as solutions to this problem are insufficient. Section 2 examines and compares the number of important exploit mitigations. The reason Android is further in security than the Linux operating system is due to the fact that it's sandbox. It has enforced SE Linux policies, and it's actually immutable. Like, you can't change it, and that's what's important. And because of those things, it has stronger security features just built into the box of it. And from my understanding, enforcing SE Linux policies, this is why rooting your phone is silly, because you reduce the security model of it and you reduce the overall, you increase the risk, essentially. Rooting has a long-term use of just being able to users have control, and I still believe at the end of the day users should have control if they want to run Linux and they know the risk, and this stops getting spread and misunderstood. I think that's fine. It's their choice at the end of the day. It's their hardware. It's their computer. It should be all about user freedom. But it's good to be aware of these constraints. Sandboxing. Pretty much, you got to remember Linux is kind of not homogeneous. It's not a what's the word? They're not a group effort of similar ideas. They don't move in a specific flow. They don't all agree on stuff. I mean, the Free Software Foundation has different philosophies. Apache has different philosophies. Linus Torvald has different philosophies. Torvald? Linux has different philosophies. Different distro maintainers have different philosophies in security practices. And people always equate, for some reason, server hardening guides to Linux, which is crazy to even think about. Servers are built for that reason. They're built to be publicly facing against the internet. Your computer kind of isn't. It's just you. There's a lot of human error, and we'll get into that. And then we'll look over the benefits of Android in itself, what it has against pretty much modern desktops. Even phones are becoming more and more secure than actually modern desktops as we go on, because of how restrictive it is to a certain degree. So traditional application security model on desktops, operating systems gives any executed application complete access to all the data within the same user account. This means that any malicious application you install or exploited vulnerability in otherwise a benevolent application can result in the attacker immediately gaining access to your data. Such as vulnerabilities are inevitable, and the impact should be restricted strictly by isolating software from one another. This is the issue with sudo, I guess. They say any run is better, do as is better, because it reduces the privilege part. Linux still follows the security model. As such, there are no resemblance of a strong sandboxing architecture or permission module in the standard Linux desktop. Current sandboxing solutions are either non-existent or insufficient. All applications have access to each other's data and can snoop into your personal information. I believe this is a part of this is also a big problem with this is user space. If I'm not mistaken, that's like the main issue. User space is super problematic. In comparison to other desktop operating systems, including Windows 10, Mac OS, and Chrome OS have put considerable effort into sandboxing applications, in the last two in particular. Actually, Chrome OS is based on Gen 2, so Linux can be secure. You just got to modify it and do a lot of configuration in order to make it secure. You have to do too much. Windows still falls behind when it comes to sandboxing, but it has at least made some progress. Windows automatically sandboxes UWP applications and provides the Windows Sandbox utility for non-UWP applications. It falls behind the other two, but it's better than Linux. In Mac OS, all applications require user consent before accessing sensitive data, and all applications in the App Store are further sandboxed. The applications in Chrome OS are sandboxed regardless. You could even say that a Chromebook, like Chrome OS, Chromebook would be far more secure. And I mean, but I digress. But like, you could get Chrome OS and it would be miles ahead. There are people I think that like use it in their like day job, like for high level security threat. The issue is people think like, oh, Chrome OS, Google, problematic, pee pee poo poo, but we're not talking about that. Flatpak aims to sandbox applications, but its sandbox is very flawed. It fully trusts the application and allows them to pretty much specify their own policy. This means that security is effectively optional, and applications can simply choose not to be sufficiently sandboxed. Flatpak's permissions are also far too broad and meaningful. For example, many applications come with the file system equal home or file system equal host permissions, which grant read and write access, which is not good. I mean, I went through permission hell for like the last 2 days, and I wanted to punch somebody because of how restrictive some Docker containers get with read and write access, by the way. To the home directory, giving access to all your personal files, allowing trivial sandbox escapes via writing to that tilde is generally your root directory / bash RC file or similar. In the FlatHub GitHub organization, 550 applications come with such permissions, which is about 30% of all repositories. While this percentage may seem significant, it includes considerably amount of applications that people commonly use, i.e. like GIMP. Like it's I need $800. That's funny. That's a good way. So if you just tweet and text everyone you know, if you know 800 people, tweet and text everyone you know, you need $1 every day. You'll get it. They might not like you, but you'll get it. Just make a Cash App and put it out there, and just be like, I need $1. Donate $1. That's what YouTube and Facebook is for. True. You should just go on Facebook and YouTube every day. I need $1. Till somebody gives it to you, and you just need 800 people to do it within 30 days. You have 30 days, less than 30 days. So it depends how bad you need that $800. Start now. Start now, or forever hold your peace. In the organization, another example is Flatpak's broad permission, how it allows under-filtered access with X11 socket, permitting easy sandbox escapes due to X11's lack of GPU isolation. It says you need $8. It does. I need $8, specifically $8, nothing less, nothing more. If it's anything more or less, I will reject it. It's got to be specifically $8. I need it. In parentheses. I really... There's no reason behind... There's actually zero reason behind it. I just think it's funny. I don't know why I thought it's funny. I think it's funny. I don't know why I think it's funny. And I just need to let someone know in chat. I need $8. No one's gonna get the joke. It's too deep. There's too many memes, and there's way too many broad thinking. It's too deep. Damn it. Other people are live. Oh no, he's playing music, so I don't want to get... I really need $8. Some of the homies are live, and I need to let them know that I need $8. But then I immediately exit the stream. So I'll never get an answer. That's metal at Del Taco. That's a meal at Del Taco. If you say $8.56, then you'll have tax free. Wait. $8.01. If you say $8.56, then you'll have tax free. Is this true? What makes it tax free? Explain this loophole that I'm unaware of while I read about FireJet. Oh, you don't know? Are you a lawyer? Are you a specific lawyer that knows how to make $8.56 tax free? Do you need $800 because you owe the IRS? Because that sounds like I owe the IRS $800. That's why I try to fill up my gas tank with as high as possible. You should actually just carry gas inside the back of your vehicle. Like, you don't really need people sitting back there. You should just fill your entire car with gas. No one's ever... I mean, once you realize free will exists. Further example, Flatpak's giving complete access to directories such as sys and or proc. Kernel interface faces known for information leaks rather than allowing fine-grained access to only the required files, and highly permissive seccomp filter which only blacklists 20 syscalls and exposes significant kernel attacks. FireJail is dog shit. I live in California. Gas is $4.80. That's pretty cheap, bro, for California. So you're gonna need you're gonna need exactly $4. So FireJail is garbage. That's just the easiest way to explain it. FireJail requires being set UID, meaning that it executes within the privilege of the executable's owners, which is in this case the root user. This means that a vulnerability in FireJail can allow escalating to root privileges. So FireJail is just garbage. You could completely get away from it. Bubble wrap has significantly less attack surface and is less prone to exploitation because it aims to be very minimal and provide the absolute necessary functionality. And actually, there's even something called, I think, Bubble Jail, which is a wrapper, and it's even better. Example, I thought it was good. $4.80. You thought Fire Jail was good? No, Fire Jail's not good. It's always recommended because people, again, you go into the problem. Here's the issue, and I'm going to show you the issue right now. We're gonna do a quick understanding of why the internet shit, why the internet sucks, and why SEO sucks. SEO sucks, and the internet sucks for two reasons. How to secure Linux. Sorry, let me use something normal. Like Google's good at security. I'm not disagreeing with it. Google knows, I think, how to secure stuff. And people give them shit, but that's not the point. The point is, am I in Tor still? Damn it. Here we go. Stuff like this, when I first got Linux, this is what happened to me. How to secure Linux. Eight essential people do this. They see this fucking guy. Principle of least privilege. Encrypt and secure your file system. But encrypting your... Maybe this guy actually knows what he's talking about. This doesn't happen ever. Oh, he actually says SE Linux policies and app. Never mind. This guy knows what he's cooking with. Here we go. Shit like this. This dog shit. No, this is server. Server doesn't matter. Damn it, Brave's just good at TuxCare. Enable firewall. This is good. Harden your Linux with Okay, so maybe the internet has gotten smarter. Fire Jail was always fucking recommended, and it was from like shit blogs that I would. Oh, maybe it's because password rotation is a dog shit. It doesn't matter. That's only for organizations. Server side and yeah, damn it. What's that Floss YouTuber? There's a lot of them. Well, no, Brave is just better at filtering. I think it's not like SE. So what would happen is I would have to use like Google.com. Let me see. How to secure Linux. That's what I looked up first, like and then I would get just really bad, like really bad advice all the time. Like later, looking back at it now, I'm like, oh god, this is not good. And you're always going to have a difference between convenience and security. There's always going to be a conflict. But I digress. It's the main problem is people get bad advice. Kosher yells yell emoji. Yeah, for real. People get bad advice and they treat Linux like a server. And because they treat it like a server, they're like, so like a firewall sounds good in practice, but it doesn't really fucking matter. In reality, you should know how to do ACL policies on your network. how to route everything efficiently, how to block like malicious stuff, actually incorporating a real DMZ zone, but that's not really like common on like that's not common on fucking regular fucking routers that you just get off the shelf. And like learning how to do like actual, again, like network ACL policy, like, you know, ACL policies for routing. UniFi is getting much better at becoming a very good option with no license, but oh, and know how to do proper VLANing and like all that other shit, which is what I do. Even though like nothing is exposed, I still properly VLAN everything, and I segment my network for a lot of reasons, because there might just be, you know, a bad update. How trippy is that? I was just thinking about getting a good router. If router-wise, you have two options, in my opinion. Get like an WRT router or like pfSense. But UniFi is good because of two things. You can host the controller yourself, and it's license free, and it's a single glass panel. It's not open source. That might trigger people, but I really don't need the level of control that OpenWRT or pfSense have. I just want one single glass panel, and that's about it. I don't need layer 3 super fucking fine granular control like routing. It's just something I've looked into. I've set it up before. I've actually virtualized my router. Within Proxmox, it's fine. It works. And I was like, it's not for me. It's cool. I think I like fucking around with it, but it's really not for me. Some people love it until UniFi goes like full skits. If UniFi starts doing shady stuff, then yeah, I'll drop them like a heartbeat. I don't care how good their equipment is, but they haven't done it. They're actually like pretty solid on like no license, no vendor, like no lock-in with like you have to use our cloud, you have to use everything like with us. You can't locally host anything. They're adding features. They listen to their customers when shit happens. They don't operate shitty like Synology where they make fucking they're telling people to use their own fucking drives, like shit like that. They're like they're proprietary, but like they're like at least, hey, you can exit too. They allow you to download all your config files and you can export them. Like there's almost zero like walled gardening. They're just a good product. They're so good I don't need to think about like another product. Now they did some goofy shit that I didn't like from a user interface. Like some of like I was like, I don't really care for this. But beyond that, like it's not like, you know, obviously like nothing's all sunshine and rainbows, but they're the best prosumer level router that gets good updates, no vendor lock, and they allow you to have a really nice seamless integration into your home network. Like everything can be correlated through an app. It's nice. I like UniFi. UniFi can be kind of a mess in some ways. Looking at shitty AP firmware's updates, they are better than the alternatives. Yes, you are right. The updates for the access points were a fucking ass. But and I will say, yeah, the update. I had an access point, and I also had an issue with something else with the access point that was kind of lame. But I will say that I've never dealt with PoE before, so I've never had PoE until I got UniFi equipment, and it took me a long time to think about it before I got UniFi equipment. Like I said, I was virtualizing my router for a long time. I just don't. They're good. Their WISP equipment is great. Like if you want to become a WISP provider, they make good equipment. I can't even say they're ex-Apple engineers from what I think. I think some of them used to work for Apple. and that's why their user interface is pretty easy, I would say. They're pricey though. They're not pricey. I've seen other shit that's like, I've met some MikroTik fans that like people that use MikroTik in their MikroTik or MikroTik whatever in their home lab. Yeah, other points stand, no vendor lock, in for the drives and shit, and self-hosting. Yeah, I think like I know some MikroTik fans and like some of their shit's fucking expensive. And you can get their stuff local. Like Unify, you can buy it local. You don't have to go online if you don't want. You can buy it like I think they're in all Micro Centers. I think they sell their stuff. I like when a big brand like that ends up allowing you to buy local. Like you don't have to just get them online. And I'm gonna say this. This is gonna sound crazy. Unify is making a NAS, and I mean this with all due respect. They're making just a NAS, just a network attached storage. That's it. No apps, no built-in bullshit, just pure NAS. Yeah, we even got Unify in New Zealand. Oh, base, that's cool. Yeah, I want to test their rack NAS when they come out. So they have an 8-bay NAS. I don't want an 8-bay NAS. They're coming out later in Q4 or probably next year. They have a network attached storage that's rackable. It's $500. Four bays for the 4-bay. It's a Pro. No, people are complaining about no fucking like SSD caching. I think the new ones will have it, but I just want just a regular NAS. I don't want a NAS that has shit software on it and a bunch of apps and it's bloated. I don't care. Like, it's cool for the people that want that. I just want what a NAS is supposed to do. Back up my shit. So Unify has their two new the UNAS. But I don't want the UNAS because I'm like, I might get it, I might test it, I might look at it. But I want their rack mounted one. Because Synology had a rack mounted one, but they're overpriced. Again, them making their own drives, and they have all these fucking applications on there. And I'm like, dude, I used to use Synology Photos, and I regret. Synology sucks. I used to be a big fan of them, and then I touched other stuff, and I was like, wow, I was wrong. And I have TrueNAS. TrueNAS just doesn't. TrueNAS is great. I like TrueNAS. Permission's hell. Jail hell is what I would say. I think it's what they call it. They're jails. I've had a lot of issues with mounting and writing, and it's just don't. For my home lab, it's overkill. But I do like that I can run S3 on it really easy. So it's kind of like my S3 bucket because I like fucking around with S3, except for MinIO. MinIO betrayed everyone, and fuck them. So now I have to find a different S3 bucket compliant software, which I think I'm going to do RustFS or Seaweed. Garage looks cool though. But it's, it's one of those things. It's NAS wise, I think they're, and they come out with really like shit. They come out with stuff that seems expensive, but it's like it's not really for what it does. They have a device bridge switch, compact multi-gig PoE plus switch with 6 gigahertz ready and Wi-Fi 7 bridging. That's insane. Yes, some of their fucking shit is just like. Now they did do one shitty thing when they came out. When they came out with their mobile backup 5G internet, whatever, that you could plug into your router that does shadow peering, they only picked AT&T, and I thought that was shitty of them to only pick AT&T. AT&T sucks. It's also the price per gig was very expensive. They just released, I think they're releasing another one. And and it's not going to be expensive. It's not going to be vendor locked to AT&T. You can have like different. You know what we need though is an open source doorbell. There was one that was on the crowdsource, and it kind of didn't work out, which kind of sucks. But this is what's supposed to be coming available. Yeah, it said 2021, but whatever. I digress. It's supposed to be Q1 right here. This is pretty good. And I think it allows MVE storage. These ACs have been qualified in Ubiquiti Labs, whatever. I think it's got SDD caching finally. Yes, so it's got 2 bays for caching, which people did complain about. $500. That's just a NAS too, and it's got safety, power, blah blah blah, RJ45, down back up. 2 10 gig SPF passports is kind of based for $500. But it's rack mountable. I wonder what's the size of this. And I would consider this because I just want just an NAS. Ooh. And it supports RAID 5, 6, and 10. And single. Max MV capacity is 4 terabytes, which I think is more than enough for caching. I don't think people really need that, you know. Now I'm saying, I think people will be like, I want enterprise level hardware in my house. Guys, I want to run practically a data center at home, which would be kind of sick. We need data centers at home, guys. You don't need to go to the cloud. Just do a cloud in your backyard. So, where are you? And I hate RAID, anything but RAID 0. I'm sorry. RAID 0's peak. I don't need I back up my stuff. I don't need redundancy. All drives are the best. Better minimal. Yeah, avoid Linux based. Sorry, I had to rage bait. I have to tell people RAID 0 is superior. It is RAID 0 is superior actually. It's the better version of anything. Huh. Wow, interesting stuff on the internet. RAID 0 Kings, chime in. RAID 0, I back everything up, so I don't need RAID 5. I hate losing storage capacity. I do consistent backups and snapshots. RAID's not a backup, anyways. I'm not. Remember, I'm not. I'm not in a data center where they might need that. I'm just one guy that likes to hoard data, and RAID 0 Kings do need to chime in and rise up to RAID 5. RAID 5 is sucks. RAID 2 sucks. RAID 1 sucks. Fucking Synology use this weird ass fucking. I'm gonna strip out like my drives because I ain't selling those, but I might sell my Synology to someone so they could experience nothing but pain. For 10 Monero, I'll sell it for $8 for Monero, right? Get the right card and you can run a 10 drive in RAID 0. Yeah. I'm going to tell you guys something. I used on my server that I ran Mastodon on publicly and my PeerTube publicly on, I ran it on a 0 RAID and I ran it on Western Digital Blue, the worst one, by the way, 3 terabyte hard drives. Western Digital Blue, 3 terabyte hard drives, and that server ran consistently for 3 to 4 years straight. And I still have it, and I still power it on every now and then, just to do testing. It's a power hog. That's why I don't use it anymore. My IQ has risen. My frontal lobe has gotten huge. So I now do the mini PCUs because they just take up less space and they're less power hungry. And it's not loud. And fuck HP. Western Digital Blue hard drives are considered, the 3 terabyte were considered at one point the worst hard drives. They're like, guys, the failure rate's insane. Never failed. Not once. Never lost data. Never had an issue. And I'm talking about PeerTube and Mastodon, read and writes left and right. Oh my god. It was crazy. Base, though. Uh-oh, guys. We're going to talk about C++ and C and Rust. Lung Duke is going to have a stroke. So most programs on Linux are written in memory unsafe language, such as C or C++, which causes the majority of discovered security vulnerabilities. Other operating systems have made more progression adopting memory-safe language, such as Windows, which is leaning heavily towards Rust-based, and macOS, which is adopting Swift, also based. While Windows and macOS are still mostly written in memory unsafe languages, they're at least making some progress. 10 of those Western Digital drives in a RAID 0 winning, just like eating the silicon gel packets used as descendants, you exit the matrix. Look, if those silicon packets, if companies didn't want me to eat the silicon gel packets, if you think about it, they wouldn't make them so delicious if they didn't want them to be eaten. It's kind of their fault. It's their fault for making them look good. I will even go as far as saying, I'll go as far as saying that it's cool that Rust is being adopted and Rust is memory safe, but curl has proven a point. And vulnerabilities aren't necessarily a bad thing. They're kind of going to happen. Curl has, like, I think the lowest amount of CVEs. You've only had 14 in 2021 and 13 in the number. I think someone said, like, the guy that made Curl's Daniel Stammer on securing. Yeah, they have like 180,000 lines of code. It's kind of impressive. And Curl's used for a lot of things. You can use Curl for a lot of things. Curl's used a lot, actually. Curl creator Daniel Stenberg promised to show his audience things to do in order to sleep well while having his C code in 20 billion installations. Yeah, you got to think, like, his code is, and it's free too. How does Curl make money, guys? It's free. It don't make sense. Towards the end of the talk, put a funny side paragraph. O'Reilly book cover. Rewriting Curl and Rust, a weekend project. The top of the book cover added the tagline, telling others instead of doing it yourself. It's a very popular book, says, while adding, pointing it that no one has really finished it. Rewriting Curl. I wonder if Curl got rewritten on us. Curl consists of 180,000 lines of code. That's 1.4x the length of the novel War and Peace. Tells his audience it is actually quite a lot of code for what it is. It transfers data. So he says, empathetically, we're not going to rewrite Curl and Rust. If you think about it, that is kind of funny. That's all it really does. But Curl's current code base is still written in C. Stenberg acknowledges Rust is possibly a great language and says third-party dependencies can still be written in Rust, which he predicts there will be more of that in the Curl project going forward. So instead of the talk offered, I think they have they test a lot, they fix and find vulnerabilities, and the way they write their C code is like they have an order of how they write it, which is kind of interesting. What can I do with Curl, guys? What can we do with Curl? Why is it so many lines? Using various internet protocols like HTTP, FTP, and SFTP. You can use it to download files, upload files, test APIs, and check websites running. Think about that, guys. You can use Curl infinitely for things. To transfer. Wow, interesting. So, pretty much back to the main point, the main based point. Well, the ADHD kicks in. Exploit mitigations don't really exist. Rust actually results in a net loss of security, as mixed binaries can allow for bypassing various exploits. The Linux kernel simply implementing support for Rust does not simply imply that it will be actively used. No major portions of the kernel are written in Rust, and there's no intention to do so. This is a couple years ago. I think they're doing, again, more arbitrary code guard and code integrity guard. I think it doesn't. It doesn't. A lot of them don't unanimously have control flow integrity. As a brief mentioned before, code reuse attacks can be used to achieve near arbitrary code execution by changing together snippets of code that already exist in the program. ACG and CIG only mitigate one potential attack vector, creating an ROP-JOP chain to transition mappings to executable. How an attacker can still use pre-ROP-JOP chain, relying wholly on the pretext engagements without needing to introduce their own code. This can be mitigated with control flow integrity, which severely restricts the gadgets an attack and is able to make use of the disrupting their chain. CFI usually has two parts: forward edge protection covering JOP, COP, etc., and backward edge protection covering ROP, CFI. Implementations can vary significantly. Some CFI implementations only cover either forwarding edges or backward edges. Some coarse-grained, the attacker has more freeway to execute large amounts of gadgets rather than fine-grained. Some are probabilistic. They rely on secret being held in the security properties, not being guaranteed, rather than deterministic. The Linux kernel has only implemented support for Clang's forward edge CFI on ARM64 and in user space. Any CFI is practically non-existent outside of Chromium. In comparison, Windows has its own coarse-grained forward edge CFI implementation since 2014, known as Control Flow Guard, which used in the kernel and across user space. Windows also makes use of Intel CTE Shadow Stack's backwards edge protection, while CFG is only coarse-grained. Microsoft are working on making it more fine-grained with XFG. M1Macs also use pointer authentication codes PAC to ensure forward and backward edge protection. Lots of edging, guys. Virtualization-based security. Hypervisor enforced code integrity makes it significantly harder to inject malicious code into the kernel by using hypervisor to strengthen the code. Kernel data protection. PatchGuard is a feature that verifies integrity in the Windows kernel runtime. The kernel. There's a lot, yeah. The non-existent boundaries of root. That's another big problem. And they go over some examples. It's just a good place to start reading to understand like Linux's problems. We're gonna see now application sandboxing. It's kind of interesting. Because the sandboxing is one of the strongest features of Graphene OS, and one of the most misunderstood is like Graphene OS in itself doesn't actually ship with any proprietary Google software. Look at that, don't worry. Well, I get some more water. I will be back. Okay, balls. All these people be making web apps, and they're like, guys, no, just use the browser. We can't lose 1 gig of RAM. Me with streaming 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. I have like 30 plus tabs open. I'm only using 17 gigs of RAM. Is this true? Like I have a lot open. 16 gigs of RAM. It went down because I closed one tab, one Chrome tab, guys. See, you two can save almost 1 full gig via getting rid of 1 Chrome tab. All right, application sandboxing. Very base, very cool, very easy to understand. Android gets a bad rap and says like everyone thinks it gets viruses and it gets hacked and all that other shit. You know, it's okay. It's not their fault. They don't know. So application sandboxing. The Android platform takes advantage of the Linux user base protection to identify and isolate app resources. This isolates apps from each other and protects apps and the system from malicious apps. To do this, Android assigns unique user ID, UID, to each Android app and runs it in its own process. I believe this is part of like the problem is Linux doesn't do this inherently. Android uses the UID to set up the kernel level application sandbox. The kernel enforces security between apps and the system that at the process level through standard Linux facilities such as user and group IDs that are assigned to apps. By default, apps can't interact with each other and have limited access to the OS. If the app A tries to do something malicious, it is such as read app B's data or dial the phone without permission, it's prevented from doing so because it doesn't have the appropriate default user permissions. The sandbox is simple, audible, and based on decades of old Unix-style user separation process file permissions. This is why if you ever fucking used, what do you call it? What's the name? Somebody help me. If you ever used TrueNAS, this is where you can get into some kind of shit where you can get into some oopsie daisies where permissions become kind of a problem because it'll use old Unix like permissions when you're doing this. It's kind of interesting. Hence why I got into permissions hell by doing this. It's so funny. I thought I could do something. That's okay. So, file permissions. If that's what I had a lot of problems with, TrueNAS is just the file permissions because it would switch it to like a Unix style permissions, and then you could you would solve it with like ACLs. And creating a user in a group and like all this other shit, and I'm like, I kind of hate this. I just want it to work. Like, it's cool though. I mean, you never want to run anything as root, anyways. You always want to run it at ring 0. Remove the ability to do root. Okay, so because the application sandbox is in the kernel, the security model extends to both the native code and the OS apps. All the software above the kernel, such as the OS libraries and app framework, app runtime, and all apps, run within the application sandbox. On some platforms, developers are constrained to a specific development framework, a set of APIs, and languages. On Android, there are no restrictions on how an app can be written. They are required to enforce security in this respect. Native code is as sandbox as interpreted code. Very based of Google to care about the security of its users and not the privacy. So if we look at... oh yeah, I couldn't look at Graphene OS without losing my eyesight. How's encryption implemented? How's the clipboard? What connections do the OS bundle to make default? How's DNS? They have a section for the sandbox. Which it's kind of cool. So the Graphene OS has compatibility layer providing optional to install and use the official release of the Google Play in the standard app sandbox. Google Play receives absolutely no special access or privilege on Graphene OS, as opposed to bypassing the app sandbox and receiving a massive amount of high privilege access. Instead, the compatibility layer teaches it how to work within the full app sandbox. It also isn't used as a backend for the OS services as it would be elsewhere, since Graphene OS doesn't use the Google Play even when installed. So they don't even ship with the Google Play framework, the service, or anything. It is truly de-Googled, unlike the people that say their phones are de-Googled when they use MicroG or Lineage or whatever, which does have some... It's not really giving you the choice at the end of the day. And MicroG somewhat relies on Google, I believe, somewhere. Since the Google Play apps are simply regular apps on Graphene OS, you install them with a specific user on the work profile, and they only available to that profile. Only apps within the same profile can use it, and they need to explicitly choose to use it. It works the same way as any other app and has no special capabilities as in with any other app. It can't access data of other apps and requires explicit user consent to gain access to data, profile data, or the standard permissions. Apps within the same profile can communicate with mutual consent and there's no different from Sandbox Google Play. Sandbox Google Play is close to being fully functional and provides near complete compatibility with the app ecosystem, depending on Google Play. Only a small subset of privileged functionalities, which we haven't yet ported to different approaches with our compatibility layer, is unavailable. Some functionality is inherently privileged and can't be provided as a part of the compatibility layer. Did you see the guy in the UK get arrested for deleting his phone data? I think it was he was using. I don't think he was in the UK. I think he was in the US. But yeah, we'll go over that story. It's interesting. Probably wasn't. I mean, even if he was, I think he's suing right now. Or maybe it was the UK. Sandbox Google Play is close to being fully functional. The vast majority of Play services are functional, work perfectly, including dynamically downloading and uploading modules, dynamic modules, and functionality provided by modular app components. Oh yeah, it was from America, damn. I only kind of know about it because I listened to someone that talked about it, but we'll look at it. It looks interesting. Just hope that good thing he wasn't in France, where it'd be enforced, and he'd be sent to the gulags. Our compatibility layer includes full support for the Play Store. The Play Store services are fully available, including in-app purchases, Play Assistant, Delivery Play, feature delivery, and app content license check. It can install, update, and uninstall updates with the standard approach requiring the user authorizes an app source and consent each action. It uses the standard Android 12 unattended update feature to do automatic updates where apps are where it was the last installer. Also, to keep in mind that not only you don't have to install the Play Stores for a lot of your apps to work, you can just use certain apps as PWAs, which is progressive web apps, which can be sometimes way better. And the vast majority, by default, location requests are rerouted to re-implement the Play geolocation services provided by Graphene OS. You can disable rerouting and use the standard Play Services geolocation service instead if you want the Google Network location service and related features. So you can actually really get away from Google as much as possible using not only just Graphene OS, but just having a lot of the default configurations out of the box. I know there's some FUD going around that people think that Graphene OS will have their own phone out next year with a vendor. Google is no longer going to be supported, and all this other really lame shit. It's not going to happen. They're not going anywhere. They're going to support the Pixels as long as they meet their requirements, and Google doesn't put a giant boot on and step on the neck of the free and open source software community, which I don't think they're going to do, because Google relies a lot on free and open source software. And they also rely on Graphene OS a lot too. Like Graphene OS just as a company. I mean, like, they've implemented features they've already had. We had it on Android before certain parts of Android before GTA 6. And it's crazy. It's crazy that we're getting Android. People are always like, oh, it was on Android first before iPhone. Now we're getting it was on Android before Android, which is kind of insane. And I get why. A lot of people get sucked into the, whatever ecosystem that society tells them to buy. If you don't got fucking green text, you can't get no titty pics or something, which is kind of crazy. I mean, I would never get an iPhone for that, like just because other people have it. Just might be how my brain work. All right. Android Auto. It exists. I don't know why people use it. Okay. All right, we back. So network permission toggle. Graphene OS adds a network permission toggle for disallowing both directional indirect access to any available networks. The device local network localhost is also guarded by this permission, which is important for preventing apps from using it to communicate between profiles. Unlike a firewall-based implementation, the network permission toggle prevents apps from using the network via APIs provided by the OS or apps in the same profile as long as they're marked appropriately. The standard internet permission is used as a basis for the network permission toggle is enhanced with a second layer of enforcement or proper support for granting or revoking a profile basis. This is one of the best features that should be the default on stock Android. You should allow people to reject network-based options if they install an app that they are sus about or suspicious. They could just revoke all the permissions that they would be concerned about, aka Bluetooth, location, and network alone. To avoid breaking compatibility with the Android apps, the added permission toggle is enabled by default. However, the OS Apple installation UI has been extended to show the toggle part as part of the installation confirmation page so users can disable it when installing an app. Which there's like a little checkbox you can hit. And even cooler, when you install an app and say like you reject the network and the network permission, you can test it yourself by trying to use it. One of the other cool parts is contact scope and storage scope, where you limit the access to your contacts and certain parts of the storage. So if an app becomes malicious, it only is bound by that scope of storage and certain set of contacts. Sensor permission toggle. Sensor permission toggles disallow access to all other sensors not covered by existing Android permissions: camera, microphone, body sensor, activity recognition, including an accelerometer, gyroscope, compass, barothermometer, thermometer, and any other sensors present in the given device. When access is disabled, apps receive zero data when they check for sensor values and don't receive events. Graphene OS creates an easy to disable notification when apps try to access sensors blocked by the permissions being denied. This makes the feature more usable since users can tell if the app is trying to access functionality. That's pretty base. So you know an app is trying to touch a certain type of sensor. And this is storage scope, contact scope, the broader carrier support without invasive carrier access. Graphene OS has a much broader carrier support than the Android open source project, and mostly matches stock OS on Pixels without making the same sacrifices. We convert their APM, carrier configuration, MMS, and visual voicemail database in the formats used by the Android open source project with our carry config 2 project and scripts. We strip out any anti-user configuration requiring provisioning for tethering, forbidding disabling 2G. We don't want to include the evasive carry specific apps, and support for Open Mobile Alliance device management. We also strip out configuration depending on those. See our guide on selecting carrier functions for more details. Very base, very cool. Wi-Fi privacy. Graphene OS supports a per connection MAC randomization and enables that by default. This is more of a private approach than a standard persistent per network randomization used by modern Android. With the pre-connection MAC randomization added by Graphene OS, it brings used DCP client state is flushed before we're connecting to a network to avoid revealing that it's likely the same device as before. Very nice, very cool, very based. Then it has network location. Graphene OS provides network-based location as an opt-in feature with their own implementation. Similar to the service provided by Apple and Google, it offers location detection based on nearby networks rather than solely relying on using satellite-based location, GNSS. With the technologies to accelerate its AGNS, makes it getting location indoors in cities with taller buildings much faster, or possible when it wouldn't have worked via GNSS. Very cool. Private screenshots, privacy by default. Graphene OS doesn't include any or use any Google apps or services by default, and avoids including any other apps and services not aligned with their privacy and security focus. Google apps and services can be used on the Graphene OS as a regular Sandbox app without needing any special access or privileges through their Sandbox Google Play. But we don't need those include those apps by default to give users explicit choice whether they want to use those apps and which profiles they want to use. And that's what gives Graphene OS like its competitive edge at the end of the day. Not these gimmicky phones that have like switches and cost $1,000 for no reason. But it's privacy by default. It's got pin scrambling, supports longer passwords, two-factor authentication. Print. Let's see. Wow. A man has been charged with destruction of evidence after allegedly erasing the contents of his phone before Customs and Border Protection agent could search it. It's unclear why CBP wanted to search the Atlanta-based activist Samuel Chunk's Google Pixel. Yeah, he was definitely running Graphene OS. That's all we needed to know. No one just buys a Pixel for no reason. Tunick was indicted by the grand jury on November 13th and arrested. Warrant was issued the same day. It says that on January 24th, he knowingly destroyed content of the same Pixel phone on the purpose of preventing or impairing government authorities from taking the property into custody. Yeah, I was thinking it had to be Graphene OS too. He was arrested earlier this month during a traffic stop in Atlanta. According to the statement issued by his supporters, the musician was asked to step out of the car to observe an issue with the taillight. He was handcuffed by the officer and surrounded by the FBI and DHS. Look at this fucking photo. This AI-generated fucking photo. There's no way. No one holds a phone like that. That's the 7, I think? Or 6. No, that's the 6. That's the best looking one they've ever had. That's what they should have stuck with. Graphene OS. Yeah, why did they put that in the article? It just looks weird. It looks like... Have you ever played, what's it called? That X for Doubt game? Mafia? No. L.A. Noire? It looks like an LA North scene. I feel that. Yeah, I just get LA Noir vibes. The arrest is totally baseless. Something Franklin, executive director of Community Movement Builders, has said in the press. The Trump administration is using political prosecution to distract from the growing unpopularity in the polls, defections within the GOP, and pristine higher cost of living. Many Americans assume that if they wipe their phone or lock it with strong encryption, they're simply exercising their privacy rights. But the moment an electronic device becomes the target of a lawful federal search or seizure, erasing itself constitutes a crime, even if agents haven't obtained the physical possession. Yes. Yeah, not a lawyer, and not your lawyer, but I think biometric offers no Fifth Amendment or Fourth Amendment protection. But I believe a PIN does. You can be like, oh, I forgot my PIN. I think that is considered protected. But biometric, like fingerprint, even though it's so fucking much more convenient, it's not really that, but it's not good. You should definitely use a PIN instead of biometrics. And I think if you live within the border, like the border zone, those rights go even harder. They're even harder to obtain. Right to Privacy did a good video on that. Under federal obstruction status, digital data is treated no differently from physical records. Laws such as 18 U.S.C. 1519 and 2232 make it a felony to destroy or alter information to prevent federal authorities from obtaining it. Oh, that kind of sucks. Major balls. Major lame. Make it prosecutors increasingly apply these laws. What if you like accidentally do it? Like if you have a Duras pen in your phone and you just hit it, or like you accidentally lock yourself out. I mean, it happens all the time. Just talk to old people. I forgot my pen. I don't remember that being on there. Type shit, like, I don't remember my pen being on there. It's sketch as fuck. Yeah. So Graphene OS has a Duras pin you can incorporate where if you put it in, it'll wipe it, but you could also just put it in a different state and just say you forgot the. You could just be like, "Oh, sorry, officer, I forgot the pin. I smoked a bunch of legal weed about an hour ago, and I don't know where that pin is. Oopsies." Say I dropped the phone in the toilet and had to wipe the device. With the towel, yeah. Yeah, what if you had to wipe it with a physical towel? Does that count? Am I violating the law? Or what if your wife's boyfriend finds out you're cheating on them and you have to wipe the device? Just think about that one. See, cops wouldn't understand that because they only have one wife that they hit. Well, I have 7. My wife's boyfriend's wife appreciated it when I didn't tell him about it. It's just there's too many semantics to like if you're in a domestic violence type relationship, you know what I mean? What do? Not wipe your phone? What if they find the court documents you're trying to file against them? There's plenty of reasons. And then somebody brought up, will Signal be a part of this? If Signal has disappearing messages, isn't that considered wiping evidence? If Threema or like any messaging app has a self-destruct feature, should that be outlawed? Just have 2 phones? Like Kevin Gates. I get DMCA strike. Can I do a sound bit? No. Yeah, there we go. Yeah. Yeah. Kevin Gates knew. We need to introduce rappers to Graphene OS. we need to spread Graphene OS to the hood. we gotta liberate and free software. We need to free software pill and Graphene OS pill gang members. That'd be awesome. Yeah, literally. Imagine if we could get like notorious gang members, like I think what was King Von in? He was in the Black Disciples, or something. We need to liberate them with Graphene OS. Guys, like, how would you like use an iPhone, but how would you like a better option? Use this Android. How would you like an Android that is more secure for your legal business ventures? How would you like to have secure communications for your legal business activities? We Black Disciples, we all use Graphene OS. What was that gang show? It was really funny too. Gang show. Man. I used to watch the shit out of this. It was funny. History Channel, I think. Gangland. Yeah, Gangland. That was it. In 2004. Episode 0, Aryan Brotherhood, hell yeah. Council, hell yeah. MS-13, hell yeah. Mexican Mafia, hell yeah. Hell's Angels, hells yeah. Hi, we're the Hell's Angels. We use Graphene OS. We're the Latin Kings of Unor. Almighty Black Pea Stone Nation, Chicago. I've never heard of that. I forgot about that one. How long did this show go on for? Man, this shit went on till 2010. 7 seasons. Didn't even know. Snitch Slaughter. God, the names for this episodes are crazy. ISIL killer chips in Anchorage. There's gangs in Anchorage. In Alaska, what the fuck are you gonna do in Alaska? Oh, Crips in Alaska. That's kind of weird, I guess. Imperial Clans of America. The Dominican American Criminal Organization Fund. Four Corner Hustlers. The Top 6, Hells Angels, Montreal, Canada. I just want to know how the Crips got into Alaska. That's just an interesting place for anyone to end up. Anchorage gangs often not affiliated with larger national gangs? Huh. It's 2018. We're always gonna have gang violence in Alaska? The fuck? Wait, where's the snow though? I'm confused. Maybe I shouldn't go to Alaska. Like ever. Uncovering Alaska's top. It just doesn't seem like that's an Alaskan thing to do. With its headquarters in Fairbanks, the criminal organization its involvement in the distribution of illegal substance, mainly heroin and meth. Huh. It would be cool to be in Alaska when the sun doesn't go down. Yeah, that'd be kind of sick. The Bloods, this chapter, wow, I guess their chapters are reaching, were initially established in LA and have expanded their sphere of influence to Alaska by means of smaller gangs that are only loosely related to another, known for the uses of number of 5 in graffiti and their red apparel. The Alaskan chapter is involved in street-level drug trafficking, armed robberies, and retaliatory violence because of their involvement in the activities. Wow. Motorcycle gang that are outlawed, OMGs. Final thoughts? Where's the 5 though? Look guys, BTC income. And this really old person. And a $100 bill euro. Cult leaders arrest killing of missing member of 3 years after disappearance. Just doesn't seem very gang. It's just too cold. It's too cold to be a gang member out there. The fact that law enforcement in Fairbanks has increased What is Fairbanks, Alaska's crime rate? Apparently, it's not cold. Do you live in Alaska, Jay? Apparently, Ireland is having a not so good time right now. The safest and most dangerous places is in Fairbanks. Wow. We're about to find out. Wow, they're about to not let me find out because what, I'm using Tor? It's kind of unbased. Well, damn, look like I can't go in here because I use Tor and I care about my privacy. Oh shit, there's a red. You know that red is, that red right there, that means it's bad. The 2004 24 crime rate in Fairbanks, Alaska is 402, which is 1.7 times higher than the U.S. average. It was higher than 94% U.S. cities. The 2024 Fairbanks crime rose by 5% compared to 2023. The number of homicides stood at a decrease of 2 compared to 2023. In the last 5 years, Fairbanks has seen a decreasing violent crime and decreasing property crime. Murders per 100,000 to 6.2. Oh, that's not good. 2 in 2011. 2, 4 looks pretty. Damn, 10. What were they doing in 2022? In 2017? It's a lot of murders. Wow, there's a lot of raping in Fairbanks, Alaska. So you want to get your arson. It's 16 arsons, auto thefts. I mean, assaults. Okay. 440%. Yeah, just never going to. Looks like Fairbanks, Alaska is not the place to be. How are you going to leave that state, though? Doesn't seem like it's very easy to leave. Alaska seems very secluded. Economic governance, crime, schools. Huh. Yeah, I'm eating all the jelly. What about the grape jelly? What's the best jelly, though? That's the real question. I'm more of a strawberry. What is. Hmm. I run. Me too. Run Kern Souls next on Graphene OS. What's Kern OSU? A kernel-based root solution for Android? Oh, okay. You can't run that on Graphene OS. It wouldn't allow you. Okay, at least it's maintained. A kernel-based suit and root X management modular system on. Okay. Oh, that's pretty cool. Well, very based actually. Interesting. All right, guys, we've read enough memes and funny stuff and cool internet things. I did this so that YouTube knows that I'm a real person and that I love their platform and have zero hate towards them. They're very based, very cool, and I would never violate TOS. And I would never pirate because that would be immoral. Don't forget to wash your snail, and we're going to look at more cool, interesting stuff tomorrow. Be sure to tune in, just like your regular scheduled programming. I am not a robot, and don't forget to download malware and feed your snail.